Hello, it's John. Happy Wednesday. Here we are in beautiful Scotland, and you may notice some changes to Kevin, my microphone, his wig, his wind muffler was all tattered and falling apart, so I bought him two new ones. The downside is that it looks even sillier, but the upside is it'll help keep the wind out of these recordings. So that's always a bonus, right? So to give you some quick updates, but before I do, love to talk to you today about constraints and some of the challenges that we place, like these constraints that we place on our lives, and to feel into what some of those constraints can be. And this is a follow-on from Chloe Rose from Mystic Hearts, who I was just watching her video. I think she posted it yesterday, and her title of her video was about are your own beliefs, are they constraining your thinking, or just constraining you in any way? And what I felt was just this inspiration to come out and go for a little walk with Patch, who's doing great. He's sniffing around a lot, and just share some of my experiences, and even break through some constraints while we're walking. Yeah, so to give you some updates, let me just share a little bit. It's quite quiet today, it's lovely. Some updates, first of all, that my vacation is coming up. So from really Friday, you'll probably see some content from me tomorrow, and hopefully I get to meet up with Chloe and do a testimonial on the business mentoring that I've been taking her through. And then also we're going to be getting our camper van ready and heading on Friday down to Wales, so really excited for that. And we're stopping over on the drive down at a pub. We'll be parking there in our camper van, and then we're about 6 days, I think, 5 or 6 days in Wales, and then we'll be heading up to Cumbria after that for a few days. So you'll still see content from me here on YouTube. Why? I mean, I could take the time off. I'll definitely change what I'm sharing. Can't guarantee you're going to get a Hi, it's John video every day. And I'll likely take a break from music. I will have my portable guitar with me and stuff. I remember one of you saying, all guitars are portable. Well, this is a very special tiny guitar that you can easily store in your camper van or take on flights. Aren't the woods beautiful? These beautiful greens. We had a lovely thunderstorm over the weekend, and then some rain. So between the rain and the snow, it's really beautiful snow, rain and sun. It's really beautiful just to be able to continue to see nature really blossoming, literally. Today I had a visitor to my home, so it was a client session for clinical reflexology, and that was a really beautiful session. It was lovely to give some coaching and advice on clinical reflexology itself. So that's foot massage, fantastic for stress, anxiety, burnout, very helpful for sleep issues, stomach related issues, including IBS, and premenstrual or perimenopause or menopause symptoms. It's great. What I love about reflexology is you can really look inside someone's body, across their organs and nervous system through the reflexes, these nerve endings that come out at the ends of our hands and feet. So that was wonderful. You can book me if you're in the Dunbar, Edinburgh area. you just go to my bookings page and you'll see there's a button for in-person bookings. So feel free to book me for those in-person sessions. And I do a range of things in person: clinical reflexology, Swedish massage, Indian head massage. I also do the psychic blends of those, so psychic reflexology, psychic Swedish massage, psychic Indian head massage, and quantum energy healing at the end, or just one of my quantum psychic healing sessions in person. They're a lot of fun. They're amazing to do in person. Okay. So yeah, let's talk about constraints. Well, one of the fascinating aspects of my life now is that my life is much less constrained. Have my behaviors become more flexible and diverse, and do they make the most of the lack of those constraints? No, not. Well, let's just say it's a journey. Why, John? Why? What's constraining you? Well, I was born and raised in the UK. I moved around Scotland and England a lot, and since the early 2000s, I've worked, maybe as early as 2000s, 25 years I've worked predominantly with US, Canadian companies, typically as clients. And then, the last 8 years I was at Amazon. The effect that this Western programming and cultural norms, capitalism, the kind of some of the pseudo-spiritual belief systems that we have, lifestyle, all kinds of things that I've adopted through that time frame of the last 25 years are just, not always the best thing for me. And to some extent, some of this challenge comes down to we're just going to go around here once more patch and then we'll head out across the path. Some of this comes down to our expectations about what do we feel is, I was going to put the camera on my face. What do we feel is happy and healthy for us? What do we feel is joyful? Whenever I visit my future self keeps saying the same thing, which is, John, there is no limit to joy. There is no limit to love and happiness. And it just keeps getting bigger and better all the time. And we always have a laugh about it as well, because my future self is saying, look at the life you have now. And it's not really in a different place either. It's here. It's right here where I live right now, which I also find really fascinating. So what is it that holds me back? Some of the constraints are, to some extent, when I left my corporate job, I had some preconceived ideas about, how meditation teachers or yoga teachers or sound therapists, reflexologists, masseurs, like the sorts of work that they would do. I thought, if you asked me over a year ago, I would have said, well, people are often busy just working their day jobs. They'll be too busy to do some of these self-care things. So typically I would have guessed or used to think that the work would be done in the evenings and weekends. I mean, logically it kind of makes sense, right? And then I also thought that it was relatively low paid work, and so the pressure would be to do many hours each week, and I didn't really have a concept about. I was aware of the concept of regulars, regular customers and things, but I didn't really think too much about it. And then it was funny, as I got into my lead up to leaving Amazon just 13 months ago, I was like, oh, I can decide where I work, when I work, how I work, who I work with. I get to choose all these things. I'm like, whoa, this is incredible. There's a fly on my head. So that was really exciting. And what did I do? Well, some of my first reactions were I just set up my home office, the very same home office that I'd had when I was in Amazon. So I would work, 1 or 2 days a week at home. Latterly I was working part-time at Amazon, so it was 1 or 2 days at home and then at least a day in the office in Edinburgh, in the city. And that was just really funny because I was like, oh, am I just doing the same thing? I'm working for myself now, but I'm sat in the same place. I'm sat at a desk. Why? Why am I doing these things? So I found that really fascinating about me. It was like, Jon, what's going on here? And so I tried different things, and I think this is the key, to know if you're constrained. A test of that is because it kind of feels a bit like an unknown. It's a kind of cultural programming that you don't really understand. It's just part of your belief system, part of the way that you feel that you exist. So exploring new things is really helpful. So one thing I did, you've seen me many times work from my camper van, and that was a definite revelation, because I realized that as long as my camper van had power, I could work with I could do anything. I could do office work, client sessions, as long as I have a little bit of internet. And over the 12-month period, I also went in and did some more work on just feeling into what it's like. Excuse me, you probably heard that quite loud. It's a funny noise coming from over there. It sounds like a deer in the woods. I really felt that it was a good idea to try different ways of working. So I tried the recorded sessions, which are increasingly popular. Thank you for signing up for these. So this is where I don't go on a live Zoom call. I just use Zoom to record the session, and my client can be sleeping or resting. They can be away doing whatever, and I do the session. Often they're much deeper, and as a result, many people go on. Most people, the vast majority of people, it's around the 80% mark or higher, go on and book another session after that remote recording. If you have a session booked with me, you can just email me and for free request that it's changed from a live Zoom call to a remote recording. And if you have questions about that service, let me know in the comments, and I'm happy to even do a video on it. So that was one exploration, and it really surprised me because I was like, oh, this is cool. I can do the recording. I always do it that day, but I didn't need to have internet where I was, and I could change the time. And that's one big thing, especially when you're in a camper van. There's, depending on the weather, depending on patch, depending on how I'm feeling, there's all these different aspects. So that's one downside of one non-obvious constraint of a scheduled session, is that it kind of works on the premise that somehow by scheduling it to a specific day and time, that's the best thing for me and the best thing for my client. And you can argue, well, that works because you can prepare for it, right? You can say, oh, I'm going to be ready for it, happy and healthy, fit and alert. But actually, even during the day, depending on what's going on in your day, in your life, these things you can go through in waves, right? You can go up and down in these experiences, your energy levels, all these things. And I'm very much a morning person, and most of my clients are US and Canada. Not all. I have many around the world, Europe, Middle East, over in the East, Australia, just loads of different places. And what I found was that the interesting aspect is you can kind of make the most of each day, which is really good. And so what I enjoy doing is just flexing the work to give the very best to my clients and to maximize my joy as well. So that was a really interesting constraint, this constraint, this belief that I had to meet all clients at a specific agreed time. Like why do we do that? Why do we have meetings at specific times? Even if you're ready like 10 minutes before, and I'm talking more about you and your life, if you're used to scheduled meetings, do have conversations each day with the people that you're going to meet with. Perhaps check in with them first thing in the morning and just checking that you're all good for today's meeting. Is today the best time for it? Is this gonna, you're asking in a polite way, are you at your best? Am I at my best? And I think that's, just one way you can challenge very simply the way that you work. So, excuse me while I pick up what Patch leaves on the ground. It's quite a lot too. I'm sure you want to know that. Just 1 second. Patch always stands behind me, and I sometimes stand on his feet, so I try and avoid that. So yeah, I think that's a really, simple one, is just scheduling the work. Come on, Patch. Other constraints, and I'm doing this video, it's certainly not a preaching video, because I feel that it's an area I really need to explore more myself. And because the other hints I've had is when I visit my future self hasn't given away the answer, because the answer of the way I will work in the future is not the most important aspect. It's more the journey of the exploration of how I get there. So for example, what are the next things I'll try? Well, I'm busy altering my, I have like a weekly plan. I described this in yesterday's monthly reflections video, but a weekly kind of schedule of my ideal working week. And then every time I have a new appointment, every time I set on my website my working hours, I constantly continually align the way I work with that plan, or should I say a template for my weekly working pattern, and includes monthly aspects too. And I also make changes to it as well. Never a compromise or stepping back from a boundary. It's more about continually evolving and refining and optimizing. Great words, Jon. Great words. We'll have to go back shortly, Patch. The other thing I do is I change the way that I mark my time as well on my calendar. So if I've agreed a specific date with a client and time, then that's in red, because that's it's to indicate to me to stop trying to change it. And then there's also I have ones in green where this is just my free time. There's no, it's really for resting and receiving and joy. And then I have amber, which is work that lightly needs done that day, and it's always just work tasks. But there's some flexibility. So done that day, but the time, can change. And this really helps me, because when I look at my calendar, often it's the red items that are paying my way, allowing me to live and have feeding my family in my belly, my family's bellies in my belly. And then the orange ones, the amber ones, I do need to get done, because they support operationally how to do stuff. There are things like client emails, weekly newsletter, those sorts of things. And then green, an ever increasing amount of green, is allowing me to do all those things, you know, so that I'm a growing appreciation of the fact that this construct and constraint was completely wrong. I used to think that, as I said in yesterday's reflections video, I used to think that it was money that allowed me to have, and this is so unhealthy, just saying it out loud, I used to believe that having money as a salary each month allowed me to basically have a family, you know, wife and family. And that's so dangerous, you know, when you say, oh, so that means working is what gives me happiness. And so for the few times that I didn't have a job, and they were, or between jobs, I would go through a real identity crisis. I'd be like, oh no, you know, I would feel like I was living on borrowed time, that my family were, you know, tolerating the fact that I was unemployed in those times. And that is terrible. And yet, that was what my subconscious was telling me, and my programming was telling me, but it's not what my family were telling me. My family were saying, we love you being around. It's lovely having you here. It's lovely spending more time with you, and you're so much more relaxed. Even though I was, you know, worried about, you know, the next job or whatever that I was applying for, and job hunting and interviews and all these things. So that was a real, you know, eye-opener as well, because I went through some of that, at least some of that deprogramming when I started my own business. And, you know, a lot of us have constraints. I used to have this constraint of tightly coupling my identity with my job. You know, so one of the first questions someone would ask about me when they met me is, oh, they still do, if they're brave enough, they'd ask me, oh, what do you do? You know, what did you do, John? And I would say, I'm a, again, a very dangerous phrase, I'm a senior software manager at Amazon, is what I would say laterally. And isn't that dangerous? Like, I wasn't a senior software manager. That was just my job title. I've always been Jon Binnie, and it's one of the reasons why, if you ever wonder why I have hoodies with my name on it, and is because it's important to me that I identify with myself as myself, and not whatever job title I've given myself or some company gives me. So that's really important, right? Just to know that you are, you're more than just the constraints of a job description. You are, if you're watching this, you are. And if you don't have a job, maybe you've retired, maybe you're thinking of retiring, maybe you're unemployed, maybe you're a full-time mother or father or carer. These are all critical, valuable jobs and roles. And I would say that, you know, none of those roles or jobs define you. You define you. And encouraging you to really explore an infinite variety of all the different versions of you. There's no limit to you. There's no limit to what you can do or what you can achieve. And it's all just a journey of exploration. And isn't that lovely that, you know, exploration is so much fun, right? You're an explorer of this reality of this life, trying new things. Just like whatever it was a year ago when I tried climbing some trees here, one of the first things I did was fall. I fell out of a tree. Maybe I'll be able to show you it if we head in here. And that very moment, as I lay winded on the ground, I took at least 5 minutes to catch my breath, and then I climbed back up the tree. So it was my own silly experience, but it was important you know, top tip when climbing trees, don't hang on to the ends of branches, especially when they're thin. As you see here, the trees, many of them don't have lower branches. It's almost like this one's trying to grow me some. Thank you. Thank you for growing them. But yeah, that's definitely a journey, is just trying different things, see if you like it. And it's exactly what I do with new services in my business. Is, you know, just like a new hobby, right? You would try it. You can even do it for free, and then, you know, as you're doing it. So just like I'm doing with the Heart Aligned Business Mentoring, is really just exploring what it feels like to do it, because I can't be creating my own business and living my dream life and not enjoying it. That doesn't make sense. Are there times that I get tired and fatigued, that I get stressed out? Yes, all the above. Are there times that I experience, verbal or energetic attacks? Yes, these things have happened in the past. And so it's always a journey of exploration and feeling into what feels right for you. And next time someone tells you, oh, you can't do that, oh, you're too old for that. I didn't think I'd be 40 years old, wasn't too late for me to go through my awakening, and 47 wasn't too late for me to retrain and, in this case, teach myself quantum psychic energy healing, and then also learn at the same time reflexology and Swedish and Indian head massage. Oh, and meditation teaching. So yeah, I definitely feel it's never too late. Plus our lifespans are likely, there's another constraint, our lifespans are likely a lot longer than we would realize. Or that we've been conditioned to. And I feel the reason for that is that, or one of the reasons is that, as we get a better handle on the understanding that our emotions create these different conditions within our bodies, these, everything from diseases to various ailments. I don't think there's any real limit to it. Once we figure that out, we can start to really do the inner work on ourselves. And it's, that's still a truth I'm integrating and feeling into, but it's certainly been my experience so far. So yeah, I hope this helps you on your journey, and let me know in the comments what constraints you place upon yourself, or if you have questions about different constraints. It's been fun chatting with you. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to sharing more tomorrow, and also my vacation. Thank you so much. Sending love from Scotland.